When you think about warfare, what comes to mind? Probably tanks, jets, ships, right? The classic battlefields of land, sea, and air, and more recently, space and cyberspace. But what if the next great battlefield isn't out there at all? What if it's in here, inside the human mind? Let's get into it.
I mean, this quote from neuroethicist James Giordano just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly frames this radical new way of thinking about conflict. It's telling us that the ultimate target is no longer just a bridge or a power plant, but something way more personal, our ability to process reality itself.
And look, this isn't just some fringe sci-fi idea. Major security players, including NATO, are seriously talking about the cognitive domain as a potential sixth official domain of warfare. That's huge. It means they're formally recognizing the human mind as a space where wars can be waged.
Okay, so I know what you're probably thinking. Hold on, isn't this just propaganda or psychological operations with a fancy new name? That's a totally fair question, but the short answer is no. This is something else. It's a fundamental leap forward from those older ideas.
The real difference, the secret sauce, is right here in the definition. See, cognitive warfare isn't just about trying to change what you believe. It's about using technology to hack the process of how you think. It's about exploiting our brain's natural shortcuts to mess with our decisions before we even make them.
And this is where it all really clicks into place. Traditional psyops, right? They target our beliefs, our emotions, the content of our thoughts. But cognitive warfare? It goes deeper. It targets the actual gears turning in your head, things like sensory overload or hijacking your built-in biases. The goal isn't just to sell you a lie. It's to make your own thinking process unreliable.
So, the big question is, why now? What's the game changer here? Well, the answer, as it is for so many things these days, is a whole new generation of tech, especially artificial intelligence. Let's take a look at the tools in this new arsenal. First up, big data. Think about it. Every single click, every like, every share, it paints a digital picture of who you are. Well, adversaries can scoop up all that data to build scary accurate psychological profiles, not just on whole populations, but on you as an individual. They can figure out your fears, your politics, your breaking point, and use it to craft an attack with surgical precision. Then you throw in deepfakes. We're talking about AI generating completely fake but incredibly realistic video and audio. This isn't just about goofy memes. It's about creating content that is so plausible it can sow chaos and doubt, even among people who think they're too smart to be fooled.
And on top of that, AI is basically putting social media bot networks on steroids. It can write content automatically, time the posts for the biggest possible splash, and then artificially pump up the message to make it look like a massive groundswell of popular opinion.
So you put it all together. You take that laser-focused big data targeting, you add some convincing deepfake content, and you blast it out with those supercharged bot networks. What do you get? You get this, a massive, sophisticated tidal wave of disinformation. It's designed to move faster than we can think and overwhelm our ability to tell what's real from what's fake.
And I gotta stress, this isn't some far-off, futuristic threat. This is happening right now. Nations are actively building these capabilities into their core military strategies. So, who are the architects of this new battle for the mind?
Just listen to this. This quote comes from articles by China's People's Liberation Army, and it is absolutely chilling. They're not talking about influence. They're talking about mind dominance. They see it as the ultimate victory, winning a war without ever having to fire a shot.
And make no mistake, this isn't just talk. It's official strategy. China's whole concept of intelligentized warfare is about weaving AI into absolutely everything. And for them, cognitive attacks are a go-to tool. The goal? To split an enemy's society apart, to rot their social system from the inside out, and to scare them off before a real fight can even start.
So far, we've been talking about all this as a weapon, right? Something you use against an enemy. But this is where the story takes a wild and honestly pretty unsettling turn. What happens when these tools aren't pointed out there, but in here?
Because the very same technology being designed to attack an enemy's brain is also being researched to, well, to upgrade a country's own soldiers. The goal is to literally build a better warfighter, one who's faster, stronger, and more resilient. And at the heart of all this is something called a brain-computer interface, or BCI for short. Put simply, it's a direct hookup between the human brain and a machine. It could let a soldier fly a drone with their thoughts or have battlefield data fed directly into their mind.
Now, there are basically two flavors of this. On one side, you have invasive BCIs, which mean brain surgery to implant electrodes. They give you a super clean, powerful signal, but obviously the medical risks are huge. On the other side, you have non-invasive BCIs, like a headset you wear. Much safer, but the signal isn't as good. But, and this is so important, ethically it doesn't matter. Whether it's a surgeon's knife or a fancy helmet, if the end game is altering a soldier's mind, you're in the exact same moral territory.
And what's making this all possible is this incredible convergence of four huge scientific fields. We're talking nanotech, biotech, infotech, and cognitive science. This mashup, called NBIC, is the engine that's turning the sci-fi idea of the augmented human operator into something real that's happening in labs today.
So you see the problem, right? This tech can be used as a weapon or as a tool for enhancement. And that dual-use nature drops us right into the middle of a massive ethical minefield. It forces us to ask some really hard questions about what it even means to be human when this kind of technology exists.
For instance, think about it like this. In medicine, we accept risks all the time, but it's to treat an illness. So what's the military necessity for doing a potentially risky brain procedure on a perfectly healthy soldier? It completely flips the whole risk versus benefit idea on its head.
And then there's the whole issue of consent. I mean, can a soldier, in that kind of command structure, really give free, fully informed consent to a procedure that might permanently change who they are? That's a huge question about a person's fundamental autonomy.
So at the end of the day, you're left weighing these two impossible sides. On one side of the scale, you have these huge risks to the individual, not just surgical problems, but all kinds of unknown psychological effects, like personality changes or becoming dependent on the tech. But on the other side, the potential military payoff is enormous. Mission success, a huge strategic edge, and maybe even protecting the lives of the entire unit.
And all of this brings us to one last, absolutely crucial question. As we stare down the barrel of cognitive attacks from the outside, and we grapple with these dilemmas of enhancement from the inside, we really have to ask ourselves, in this new battle for the mind, what is our last and most important line of defense?